Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Unmixed and Unmastered, episode 17. I forgot to replace it. But I'm here today with Heather, who you might know from the Animal Collective episode that we did. And yeah, you wanted to talk about the first LCD Soundsystem album and why. Why did you choose that one?
Oh yeah, I did. It's if I had to give someone a very limited number of songs to know me by, or like the most important single tracks ever, Losing My Edge is so close to number one. I think that this album is just a really unique, really funny
Mm.
entry in musical history. I also love all the LCD Sound System albums to follow. Um, they're supposed to come out with new material in 2025, but I don't know. They didn't play anything new at Primavera Sound in June, and I think that they were kind of promising it or soft promising it, whatever. But I'm super keen for anything new from those guys. Um, I don't know. It's just one of my favorite albums. I
Yeah,
mean, I could just keep it at that. Thank you,
yeah.
by the way, for hosting again, for having me on again. It's a
Mm-hmm.
pleasure to be back.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, because this one I would probably have chosen this one for an episode. It's not my favorite one, in my opinion. Probably Sound of
It might not
Silver,
be my favorite either. Like
but I
Sound of
think
Silver,
I think there's something important about this album. That's just like you know, you can.
it's 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 the start of their whole mission and project, and it's transparent about,
What
I
it
don't know,
is.
I think it lets you get into the mind of the project and into the mind of James Murphy in a way that Sound of Silver is. It's a more self-actualized project. It's more cohesive. It's more confident in some ways, but um, I think this is required reading to
Mm.
understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, and for me, this one because I discovered this back in 2018, and I I never knew that like you can just like include like dance elements in rock like that was like such a novel concept for me in those
Hmm.
times. And so this album was like, I think alongside like TNT by Tortoise, I think these are like some of the albums that kind of shaped my like musical development in a lot of ways.
Cool.
And
I see
yeah.
that for sure because the marriage of dance and rock, as we're going to talk about so much as we're doing this episode, is in 2025, we hear so many of the downstream effects of people who came up listening to this. I think,
Mm-hmm.
I think this was influential in, um, LCD Sound System probably isn't in the first five names you talk about when you talk about um, the guiding lights of like modern post punk. I think you and me are both like Squid fans, for
Yeah.
example, right? Um, they're not in the top five names, but maybe they should be because I don't know. There seems to have been more of a cultural rift. I think, when James Murphy was recording this and talking about music and thinking about music, there was it made sense for him to make his joke and Losing My Edge about like I was the first person playing Daft Punk to
To
the
the
rock
Rock Kids.
kids.
Mm.
That joke made a lot more sense. Like it's still timeless. It's still funny. That's still a song and a sentiment about music and music fandom. But I bet it made even more sense back then when um, I mean the internet in its nascency, right? Like things were still very separated. You had music publications, you had record stores, you had people you talked to in real life, but you didn't have Pitchfork. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, they were around, but they weren't like an institution like they later became in the 2010s.
Mm.
Um, sorry, that was rambly. I don't really remember what my point was, but yeah, no, influential. Bottom line.
Yeah, I kind of like that point, like pretty like internet, like you were kind of like in your own world a little bit in those times, just like you had these like things, and if you discover them, that's kind of like you, like this
I
is your
think so.
territory, kind of.
And and even and even the things on the internet that did exist, like I'm sure there was internet relay chat and forums and so on at this time, they still end up being insular. They still end up being like local communities similar to what you got in person. um it's just really different today. I think we're in a hyper globalized internet, where like, yeah, anyways, I think that bears on music in general, but it's a bit of a tangent.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, to introduce the man himself, James Murphy. So he was kind of like a DJ in his heyday. His some of his sets were like electronic based, but he would play like as you say, he played Daft Punk to the Rock Kids. Like he would just like he was like kind of this like new guy introducing people to like new stuff around that time. And he started a record label called DFA, Deaf from Above, not the the other band Deaf from Above 1979. I think they they sued that band
Oh,
for yeah. But anyways, yeah, that label started before LCD Sound System, and these were kind of like the big artists that were on it afterwards, like the Rapture, Black Dice, Gorilla Toss, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, a pretty successful label in my opinion. And yeah,
still have to listen. I still have to listen to Black Dice. I understand you're a pretty big fan. I know the other two bands, and I'm actually surprised. I did not know they were on that label.
yeah, I was looking at the Rapture's apparently on there, but I don't know if there was any like really, or I mean, yeah, I don't think there was really any big releases for
Hmm.
them. But yeah, do you like Gorilla Toss into the Rapture? I haven't really listened to them.
Enjoy both. Gorilla Toss in particular has like a pretty unique sound, that sometimes I'm really in the mood for. It a very impressive vocalist too. Um, the Rapture, I feel like it was like part of like required reading or required listening for me at some point. They didn't make a big impression on me, but I feel like I know like a couple singles or a couple hits.
Yeah, all I know about the Rapture is they won album of the year for Pitchfork at some point.
Oh my gosh, that's right. That's probably when I was going through. That's probably when I was going through it, because I'd never heard anybody talk about this. Isn't on anybody's topster, but
Yeah.
at the time, clearly it was a big name to be listening to. Maybe they became more redundant as other people like filled out that space in sound. Um, like we're talking about dance X rock, dance X punk, whatever.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more. Like the Liars were kind of like that too.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And,
Pitch me Black Dice in like 1 second.
um, Black Dice is like just like imagine like the most like non like technical musicians like just playing and just like trying to like I don't know just like make something like anything. And that's kind of like that like they they remind me of like um because before they were like a hardcore band, like a hardcore punk band that like kind of were they were like dangerous. Like they played shows that like almost like hurt people and like it was really bad. And they kind of like went to this like direction of like ambient kind of stuff, but you can see like their hardcore like influence in them. Like they play like really like loud but like in this like kind of controlled way from yeah, that
Pitch received. Thank you.
and yeah, so James Murphy, before this band, he was kind of also like feeling like lost in his like life and sort of feeling like he didn't do anything significant. Like he was getting old and he felt like he was like I guess like he's washed now. I don't know. Can you expand upon that? Like
That's interesting. It didn't occur to me. I guess he is. So 1970 to 2005. He's 35 when this comes out. That's kind of funny. I'm coming up on my 30s myself. I'm 28.
mhm.
Um, I think my perspective is losing my edge is you should only ever take it half seriously. I think it's a joke song in a lot of ways, and it's relatively tongue in cheek. This album is full of some anxieties about aging out of the scene, but I think he's more he sees that feeling cropping up and then just kind of like wants to take the piss out of it and be like, "Ugh, how self-serious do I think
Mm.
I am? Like, how much do I think I deserve a legacy? I'm just a freaking 30, well, when Losing My Edge came out, he was 32, like in 2002. Because that was like a, just a single. Um he's playing a character in at least a few of these songs and a few ones later in the discography too that I'm sure we could point to. I don't know. I think I hesitate to psychoanalyze. I'm interested in what he says via things like interviews
Mm.
about this feeling and this theme, but I don't know. I didn't know that he thought he was aging out of the scene very sincerely. The
Yeah.
character in Losing My Edge for sure has
Mm.
age-related anxieties, has relevance-related anxieties.
Mhm.
Um, whether we want to call that his personality or even the persona he's wearing for the whole album, I'm a little bit more doubtful.
Mm. Yeah, because in interviews, like he would say like he was in like bands, right? And some people
Mm,
would be like, they would be like the newcomers, and like there would be some like that wanted like a second shot, I guess, or at like stardom. And I think he was
mm,
like he felt like he was kind of that guy now, instead of like the young gun. And yeah, he would, and I have a quote here. He would say like, I was not even like an epic failure, just sort of a sad, pathetic failure. Like he didn't feel that great.
yeah. It's interesting. I mean, that's his classic self-defeating or self-effacing style. I get the impression of James the artist being an unbelievably self-conscious
For
guy.
sure.
Do you get the same impression?
Yeah, I feel like he's on this record. I feel like he's very honest about.
He can't. Yeah. Well, maybe honest is like the opposite of it. Like if he catches himself getting too honest, he's like, "No, that's corny. I want to make it more ironic." I think I don't know. In this record, there's kind of like a paralyzing self-consciousness of like, um, um, I don't know, just like knowing what you're putting out. It's also obviously music. He's coming from a very deep place of music fandom and
Mm-hmm.
being obsessed with music and then trying to make music creatively.
Yeah.
And then, your influence is showing through in that music, but then being like, oh, well, I'm not just a this rip off, etc. It's just this total spiral and loop of like self-judgment and anxiety about being judged. Um it's something I see very heavily in this album that is in some ways to its detriment. I think in later releases he gets over this to some extent, and a lot of the awkwardnesses of self-titled have to do with um that he I don't know, just kind of like defers to making it a joke if it ever gets too sincere.
Yeah.
Maybe people like that in real life, I guess, who are I don't know, afraid of really like leveling with you and just get nervous and just bail out by making it a joke or engaging in irony or something like that. It's to me that's a huge part of the story and what I see in this album. It is objectively to its detriment. It objectively makes the album worse, like the music in the album worse, but it's I don't know, cute in some ways to look back at it. If I also tie it forward to the fact that I don't know, man. Sound of
Mm.
Silver and This Is Happening are both excellent albums.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
American Dream is, I'm sure he's starting to peter out. And the lead single for the to be announced, yet to be titled album, the single was called X Ray Eyes.
Yeah, I
I
saw that.
just got nothing out of. Um, is he finally getting old? Is he
Yeah.
finally losing his edge? Are you familiar with this might seem like a jump or a crazy diversion. Are you familiar with The Dare?
Oh, no, I'm not.
Okay, okay. I kind of wanted to talk about him because he's like
Oh,
a
wait, the
not a
Dare. Okay,
mascot.
he's the guy with Charlie XX, like the he like
Yes,
produced.
him.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I know this guy.
Like, do you know his like whole
Yeah,
deal? Like his care.
I mean, like I listened
He's
to
like
one
a
of his songs, and he's kind of, it feels like a LCD sound system like cover band in some ways. I don't know. Yeah, like
yeah, you're so right. Or parody in some way. And my dark theory is that the dare is like a really cruel joke, and James Murphy's been like fucked up in his apartment since he found out this guy exists because he's become a guy who's it's trendy to list in somebody else's Losing My Edge. It's
mm.
fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Um the dare is like a psychically damaging bizarro worlds parody of a guy who's already so like neurotic.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. I just think he's so funny to think about, and I hate his music.
Yeah, I don't know. It's his music is, I've only listened to one song. It's like the one, I don't even know what the title would be, but it's just, it feels really cringe. I don't know. Like
It, yeah, well, it's like it's raunchy and it's the opposite of the kind of it's like really leaning into the sarcastic
mm,
character. But when James Murphy sings Losing My Edge, he's only able to make this joke and like when everyone's like, oh, it's a send up of hipster culture, or it's like a critique of how people listen to music. Yes, it is that, but it comes from a place of being that guy too, a little bit, and being able to make fun of yourself. I think it's awesome to walk the line between being like, I am really passionate about art, I love sharing it with people, the way I share it with people is like sharing this the amazing volume and variety that is out there. I love digging deep. I love like all of these things. And at the same time being like, yeah, but it's kind of corny or it's kind of alienating or it's easy to slip into the type of person who uses that breadth of experience to put yourself above other people. Um yeah, I think his ethos is um like if you're not self-conscious, you become the most annoying character
mm-hmm.
ever who nobody wants to hang out with. If you are too self-conscious, you are too paralyzed by self-examination to ever make anything or say anything. Um, Losing My Edge is like walking that line and talking about that crazy balance that is so fundamental to being a fan of music at all.
Mm. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Like I definitely like that. That like the uh just like the I guess like I like that, like losing my edge, like yeah, it also is like about like a song about just like, you know, the things you like. I like that the song, I don't know if you know this band like Life Without Buildings.
I don't.
Yeah, it's kind of, to me it's kind of like that song where you kind of, you're just like, you know, naming the things you love, and or like the artists and bands you love. And I think that, I don't know, that song is just really nice. I like what you're
Actually,
saying.
Daft
Oh.
Punk has one of those too. I don't remember what it's called, but it's called something like I don't know, inspire teachers. I think it's called Teachers.
Mm.
And it's Daft Punk just being like over like this really steady disco beat, just like listing the names of everybody who's inspired them or something like that. And it's all and it's like the big names, but then it's also like smaller DJs and stuff like that. I don't know. Yeah, I guess we each have these touch points of like it is sweet, it is heartwarming when people want to like you obviously pay homage in your music, but it's also fun to do it in a much more obvious way. Um, yeah,
Yeah, and like you were talking about like the I guess like the writing, like I feel like there's some like paradox here, because like the writing has like that, the anxious like kind of like the post-punk energy, but also like the sharpness of like Detroit techno. And I
Mm,
think those things are just really interesting that they would go together
mm.
in that way. I don't know.
I guess that yeah, that's probably similar to what I was talking about. Yeah, walking the trying to walk the balance.
Mm. Yeah, and oh, here. And yeah, you were talking about the new LCD sound system material. Are we
I
ready?
did.
You think we're ready for a new one?
I'm so terrified that it's not going to be able to exist. I don't know. Um, I'm familiar with all of these. I'm the least familiar with American Dream just because so little grabbed me.
Hmm.
Um, are we ready for one? I'm a little scared. I don't know. I don't want it to be, um,
You know, half-assed or
you know,
something.
a product of fatigue. They're doing a lot of touring right now. They're
Hmm.
doing a lot of touring and performing even when they were on hiatus or on their break around I guess it was like 2011 or so on. Like that was only 6 years into the official project, but a little more into the project in general. And all, excuse me, already like I don't know, they were ready for a break. And I don't know. American Dream didn't convince me that the reunion needed to happen because he had more to say. It was more
Mm.
like a might as well, or, you know, I'll live more comfortably if I have the income from this many more tour tickets and stuff like that. I really wish like a post um reunion album, I feel like the expectations are really high
Yeah,
on it
for
to
sure.
be like, hey, like, did you have a what are you doing here, man? Do you have something to say? Do you have something new to say? American Dream kind of didn't convince me. And then the lead single, X-Ray Eyes, like, was also nothing. Um, so no, I'm not. I'm kind of okay if I just pretend they have 3 LPs plus the jogging album.
Yeah, yeah, because all of them, all those four, I guess. Like I feel like they all stand up themselves. Like, and I feel like it would just be unnecessary. I don't know unless like I think what he could do. I think if he does collaborations, maybe there's something there. I like that song with Idols that he did. I don't.
I gotta listen to it. I think I like Idols.
Yeah, and maybe that's what they got to do. Like what battles are doing like with their collaborations. Maybe that's what they have to do to remedy their I guess their aging with new faces.
Yeah, yeah. Is it? Yeah, it's probably not creative bankruptcy, like literally running out. My hypothesis really just is that it's the overwhelming weight of being in the music world and a name that people know about for 2 decades and being anxious about what that means. Like, playing a character in these songs, making songs about loving music, and then also like yeah, sure. If we tie it into your quote, which is like, I'm such a sad, pathetic little failure, man. It's like, man, come on, have some. You make great music. You're a
Hmm.
competent DJ. Yeah, believe in yourself, man. Come on.
Yeah.
But 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 being in the public eye for a long time, I don't know. Neither of us can really imagine what it's like.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna circle back to talking about, I guess, the cruel irony of making this record kind of from an underground origin, like being a DJ and, talking about music culture in this way, and then eventually becoming popular enough and inevitably becoming entrenched in a way, like being the
Hmm.
music establishment, being the groundwork that other people are working off of, becoming a primary source, like, like any one of the primary sources that James and LCD Sound System are touching on this one. Um, it I think the project needed to die after a finite number of years, and it makes less sense every year that it goes on.
Mm. Yeah, I because yeah, that's interesting. Like, because I know David Byrne from the Talking Heads. He was sort of feeling like in his like late career that he felt like he was losing his like roots of
Hmm.
like where he kind of came from, and he kind of only knew what like through himself like as like a star, a rock star, I guess. And I think like Brian Eno was kind of like there to like remedy that, to like make like new roots for him, I guess. And on like My Life in the Bush of Ghosts, that album is like very different to what he would create like before that. And maybe that's like something that LCD Sound System has to do in order to like yeah like make a new record, like move on from this, I guess.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm sure there's a way, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's so sad that my answer to this is kind of like, no, I'll check it out, but oof, I'm really ready for disappointment. I'm really ready for something limp.
Yeah, wait, so he announced something? I because I always had the impression that they just broke up after this, or
In
they
2024, via Instagram posts and stuff, he said new music coming soon or something like that. Released a single, and then it's
yeah.
it's just been radio silence since. I don't know
Well,
if you're allowed. I'm sure you're allowed to change your mind and be like, but again, then there's the ego thing, and it's like,
oh
I
yeah,
just
you have to
wouldn't
make
want
some.
to. I don't know. I just wouldn't want to live in this guy's head. Um, Based on the imaginary psychoanalysis that I'm doing, based on
Mm-hmm.
frickin' the albums that I know and that I love.
Mm. Yeah, and do you want to play a little track to get people
I'd
into?
love to. Yeah, yeah.
Oh wait, actually wait, I forgot. I every single time I'm just surprised by my own slides. Anyways, yeah. So okay, about this album, disc two, because I have it on CD. You're not supposed to listen to disc two as like the as like a album like form. Like you're just supposed to listen to disc one, because I know on vinyl it's just disc one. That's it. And that's interesting
Mm,
because all my life I've been listening to this album in full with disc two included,
me too. Me too. Me too.
and it like doesn't feel like it's like interesting. Like it doesn't feel like extras. Like it feels like it really important to like what this album's trying to do.
I'm glad you said it. That is exactly how I feel. Yes. Um, the meat of the album is on disc two. And
Mm-hmm.
so it is crazy. It is jarring to find out that none of it was made for this release. It's crazy because
Yeah.
it sounds and it was over like a 3 year period. It was over 2002 to 2005. Lose My Edge was 2002. And then the gap between this and Sound of Silver, like their sound changed a bunch from 2005 to 2007. But '02 to '05, it's relatively consistent. Like he's still on the same wavelength between Losing My Edge and, for example, Disco Infiltrator.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's or on repeat, yeah. I'm also going to go so far as to say Disc 2 is a lot better.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, actually, I think the hits are on this one, in my opinion. But there's
Mhm.
like the good stuff is like the actual like good stuff is in this too. I would agree.
I think if we try and separate, and it's impossible to do this separation, and it's sloppy to do so because there's so much overlap. But if we try and separate the rock songs and the dance songs,
Mm-hmm.
um, disc one has more rock. It has more
Mm-hmm.
self-contained, melodic, anthemic, standalone, and also oh from beat one. Tribulations is like that. Movement is like that. Never as Tired is a weird ass song, but yes, it is a rock
Yeah.
homage in some way. Um, yeah, like the density of standalone songs that would be suited for, I don't know, radio or higher commercial appeal, or that the critical point of that song isn't like a very slow build.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there's a mix. I think "Give It Up" is also an incredibly successful rock song, and in some ways, like wh- one of the most crazy, energetic performances on the album. And that is a disc two cut. So, um, yeah, if this came out as just disc one, I wouldn't want to talk about it. I
Yeah,
would think it's
there.
I would think it's kind of mid. I would think it's relatively uninteresting and like kind of shifty, like a weird transitional sort of thing. I'm very grateful that it was packaged in this way because
Mm-hmm.
disc 2 has all the stuff that I want to like that I fell in love with, that I really latched onto. That I think is interesting, that I think is funny. It like he cannot divorce at this point in his career. He cannot divorce from his roots as a very strong DJ.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, like maybe disc one reveals because that is all new material. Maybe that reveals that he wants to divorce a little bit from being just a DJ in quote marks and producing things in the like 8-minute single type format.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, I just I don't know, like I feel like it's just like I feel like from this to Sound of Soul, there's more like a lot of like just like I guess like it's like not it's like a you put everything in a blender, but it's not blended up. Like there you can just see like all the parts. But in Sound of Silver, I feel like it's just like that's like it, the mix of all of that, and then this is happening is just them like the final like, result of what you blended up almost.
I'm with you there. I like your characterization of it. And I totally agree with you that as it matures, there's a more sophisticated marriage and melding of these things. He's also adding more things that are distinctly his own. Some of the layering patterns and so on. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this is a more separable album, I guess. It's also just all over the place.
Yeah.
I'm perplexed by Never As Tired As When I'm Waking Up. I don't know what that song is doing. I don't know what it's trying to say. It used to be one that like I really enjoyed listening to, and I was just like, "Oh, cool. Okay, just some crooner shit, some Beatles worship." It low-key reminds me of like Olivia Tremor Control,
Oh.
and I had to look up to make sure that they actually came out first, which was 2004. But again, it's like 50s and 60s rock, straightforward worship, and I didn't get it. And I kept reading the lyrics to be like, is this a joke? Is this like one of his characters? Do you have a take on this one? I'm sorry to divert you just a little bit, but I have been perplexed for a long time by this song.
You want to look at
It's
the
also
lyrics? I'm curious to see.
Yeah, sure. It's also the only track on the album that I would call not danceable.
For sure. Yeah, it's like a I'm wasted and complacent. Yeah. I yeah, I don't really like yeah, it feels almost like I like that like that you mentioned Olivia Tremor Control. They're like the Elephant Six like thing.
That's right.
Yeah, and yeah, cuz it's like I don't know. And yeah, it kind of yeah, like it goes into like just like how just like it's like just the mix on this record is just like there's just a lot of things going on, and as we said, it's like kind of like his like it's like a celebration of you know your favorite music, and it's just and I feel like that's like like maybe one
You
of the
just wanted to do
yeah
a
just
more
one
straight, like classic rock croonery thing, like almost like a Scott Walker. He does mention
yeah Scott
mention Scott
Walker
Walker on
in
Losing My
the
Edge.
hmm yeah I
Not that I keep a catalog in my head. But if one was to, that would actually be kind of funny. would be like someone's like, "Oh, I'm trying to get into music," or something like that, and you just
Scott,
send them the list that's exactly Scott Walker, Joy Division,
the Black
Gil Scott
Dice.
Heron, the Slits, the song. Yeah, Jesus Christ, it's a good song, dog. It's a good song.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna get mentally derailed anytime I think about losing my edge.
Mm. Yeah, I yeah, the song is interesting. I'm not sure what to say about it. So this
It's just
guy,
there.
yeah.
It is a character song. Like it is over the top, like scuzzy. Um, I don't know. He has to play a character to make like if we do take it from the perspective of like, okay, he wanted to make something that sounds like this. He wants to do a bit more singing. He wants to like follow a guitar line that goes wah wah da, wah 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 wah. Like if you go from the perspective of like that came first, then the fact that he has to write lyrics that are um um like such a bizarre character who's very lascivious and forward and drunk and woozy
Mm.
is like what do I think about that? I think it is what I said earlier that it's like it's getting in his way. He can't make it a serious song because he's like blah, 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 blah. It's just a joke. It's a joke now. Don't take me seriously. Don't worry about it. Don't take me seriously. It's to his detriment because it just leaves you a little bit confused and the song just has to stand alone more like, hey man, I guess this is a joke to you.
Yeah, it's funny because there was like another band like that, Pavement. Like they were, I feel like there are a lot of reasons they never really got popular is they didn't really want to take themselves like too seriously, and
That's a crazy parallel. I hear it though. I hear you. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, like I don't know if like it really mattered at the end because I think Pavement now they have like a documentary about them now, and they
Yeah.
played in Edmonton. Like they played the documentary here, so there's clearly a
Hmm.
lot of like I don't know if it really mattered that much. Yeah, but do you think it yeah, I guess it does for this album. But do you think as a whole, do you think it um like made people intimidated by them? I guess.
Hmm. I think it was to their detriment, but the music still stood for itself. The music has still just been strong enough to overcome the self-defeating sarcasm and so on. And also in some ways, people are also there is a contingent of people who are definitely more like not committed to caring about an artist's whole image or deal or storytelling or whatever. Um and so it's completely not of consequence. But I don't think LCD Sound System become a great band until they defeat some of their self-defeating, self-effacingness. I think dance yourself clean can't exist until they've gotten through like the rocky adolescent self-conscious period. Um, all of my friends can't exist as well until they've overcome more of their rocky adolescent period.
Mm.
That's
So
what I think, at least. Like that they needed to overcome it to some extent, and they did overcome it to some extent
for sure.
to become like a band that is like significant today. I think if again if this was the only record that came out and then there was a terrible plane accident,
Oh.
um, we I don't know. I just don't think we'd be talking about LCD Sound System as much. So
Yeah.
this, I repeating what I said earlier. This is stuff that like sets the groundwork, but is shifty and is unfinished. It's the raw material.
Mm.
It's the raw materials that they're eventually going to become brilliant with. And I also really think Disc Two just speaks to how strong of a DJ James Murphy is and was. It just the meticulous construction of all these tracks um, on the second half of the record is
Amazing. Yeah.
again just stands on its own.
Yeah. I guess another thing. How do you go about listening to this album? Like for me, I just like I just listen to it in like I guess like the car or like while I'm doing other things. I think without paying attention to the lyrics, I think this album is very like it's really good for that because I think yeah, like as you said, like his like strengths as a DJ come out in this one, and I think
Yeah.
it really helps. And I don't know, that's the yeah, you go.
Also, in the background, in the car, I like it when I'm jogging, which is very funny. I think it's very funny to derisively call LCD Sound System a jogging band, but they deserve it because they took the however many $1 million from
Yeah,
Nike.
for the that 45 something
Yeah.
minutes long.
That's fine. Forever they can be considered a jogging band. I really like running. I put them on in those situations. Dance Yourself Clean is like my classic like push the tempo, push the pace
mm,
song when I'm
good
running.
build-ups in there.
Yeah. Um but also I make a damn fool but I usually like run at night in downtown Calgary and so I just like when I'm like air drumming to the breakdown for Dance Yourself Clean, like it's fine. It's 2 a.m. Nobody can see me.
Yeah, yeah.
I still go front to back. I didn't know. I knew that there was some recycled material on this album. I did not know until I was preparing for this chat that it was all of disc two. It was
Yeah.
100% of disc two. So I was just an end to end Andy on that front. Um, now that I have that knowledge, I might listen to only disc two, as messed up as that sounds. Disc one is it's it's too shifty and it has too many songs that annoy me. I
Mm.
didn't talk about it, but Daft Punk is playing at my house.
Oh, yeah.
I thought was to me that's a total miss. And
I
then I
love
looked
that
it up.
song, really.
I looked it up and it was a chart topper in the UK and it was like a breakout single and I'm like, "What? What are they dancing to in the UK?"
That was around. There's a lot of people were dancing to rock all the time. Like Block Party was in the
Mm,
UK. Like that's the kind of stuff. yeah, I yeah. For me, I was gonna buy this album on vinyl until I
mm.
realized there was no disc two anymore, and I was just looking at the page and I'm like, there's just I don't see disc two. Where's Losing My Edge? Like, yeah, and I
Um,
just have it on CD now, so
mhm.
it's fine. But yeah,
There is wasted time on disc one.
mm-hmm.
I consider that a fact. Disc two necessarily has to not have wasted time because it's all A sides and B sides. Um, Your City's a Sucker, by the way, was the B side of Movement, which is interesting. Movement is also old material.
Mm.
Um, but disc one has lulls, man. I Great Release is a slow build, and in some ways I give it credit for being like again, it's groundwork for what they're going to be doing later. There's 2 minutes of nothing but piano chords, which is okay. Like, yeah, you know, there's going to be more slow builds on Sound of Silver. There's going to be a lot of piano emphasis
Yeah,
on Sound of Silver. But Great Release itself is like, I don't know, what is it?
it's like that song is like it's just like a big like build up. I don't know, and he's just kind of like echoing on it. I'm pretty sure.
Um, Never is Tired. We already talked about it. I think it's inexplicable. On Repeat is it's a fine track,
On
but
repeat.
it's disorienting when you're listening to this album in order and you've just heard, for example, Movement. On Repeat is like it feels like he's repeating himself. Er, Duh, but like from earlier tracks, it's really similar to the vibes from earlier in the track list. It's really hard to call it essential. If I listen to that song in isolation, I'm having a great time. Um, but it's very weird if you go back to back because it's like, didn't I just hear this? But like, this is like a reprise of something like Movement.
Hmm. Yeah, there are like reprises on this album with the yeah, with the crass
Right.
version.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird. I think it's really interesting, like the just like the order, like as you said, it's in, and I'm like kind of curious to like ask like him, I guess, like why did he choose this order, and why did he
Mm.
just like did not include disc 2 in the final product. I don't know. It's weird.
So interesting. I don't know. I think disc 2, I have to think disc 2 is a part of what I call this album.
Mhm. For sure.
It's too important to me. It's too much good music because inherently in the music community as we know it today, like people are very LP focused and album focused. And
Hmm.
like it's much harder to talk about disconnected like collections of singles and stuff like that. Just a consequence of how things are today. The fact that it is a compilation disc is, I don't know, maybe like frowned upon in some ways or in some circles, but I think it's so good that that content isn't lost.
Yeah.
That it is like that we
And
can say like go listen to disc 2 of this release, and it's an amazing kind of career summary of the years up to 2005 for LCD Soundsystem. Um, it's too much music to lose. I'm very grateful that it's in this form. I'm happy to keep calling this album kind of a compilation.
yeah,
It is
it
to me one of the really important things that it does.
yeah, and even disc 1 also feels like a compilation. Like
It does.
so it as a whole it's just like a compilation. It's like the 5 EPs by Disco Inferno, like kind of like that.
Um, I don't know that one. One of my favorite compilations these days is Volume One by the Help. It's Help with two L's. I think you
Oh, I don't.
might like it a lot. I feel the same way that I'm like, okay, this is weird because it's a compilation, but I'm so glad that it exists. I'm so glad that it's like been made accessible to other people because like a lot of great musicians right now are putting out one thing at a time once every few months.
Hmm.
Um, that makes it harder to like look at their oeuvre in a more total way. Like there's a lot of people on Spotify. As an aside, I'm finally getting off Spotify.
Oh
I think
yeah.
I DM'd you about
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah. Wait, you
Um,
want to talk about that?
but the problem is still going to be there. The problem of the music discovery is hard when it's isolated releases, and a compilation does help
Yeah,
at the
true.
end of the day. That problem still exists. But like when I use Spotify a lot more for music discovery, and I clicked on someone's page because there's an awesome hit, like there's a really punchy sound, and they've only put out singles, and I'm like, okay, this is awesome, but it's really hard for me to filter through what is new music here and what isn't. What's the remix? What's the same song but you package it with the B side?
Mm.
Do you have 5 songs or do you have 15? Like it's really hard to tell when it's just in single release format. At least in the digital way that we consume music right now.
Yeah, because
Um,
it's always just like yeah, like like add a song and then they add like the previous singles onto it. I guess it's the
so I'm really pro compilation. I'm also probably pro short albums. Like I think Underscores has,
oh
I think
underscores. I
they
like
they
them.
started, I think they started being good about just being like, yeah, we got 16 minutes, let's ship it.
Mm.
um, so yeah.
Yeah,
Again, sorry, long tangent. I can't remember where I
yeah. I
was.
mean that's interesting
Compilation's good.
because yeah, like I think nowadays, yeah, I think we're kind of going into that that shift of just like short albums because it almost like the vibe I got from like from the past, I guess. I didn't live in it, so I wouldn't know, but like um it almost seems like it was good to just like add a lot of stuff, like even if it's like just like bonus, like
Yeah.
because like if you're a fan, like you just want to listen to everything. But I think now we're like we just like we have everything now. It's not really like a surprise anymore. We're gonna play the whole thing.
S- Some part of it is the mythos and the elevation of the album in general. Some part of it is, excuse me, the elevation of the concept album and the idea that like everyone should strive towards like, okay, like a song is cannot be an equivalent of like a book or a movie. Your album is the equivalent of a book or a movie. So there should be like overarching themes, and it's like it can't be your magnum opus unless it's a cohesive 50-minute collection of songs. I think in music journalism it became really in vogue because Pink Floyd had commercially successful concept albums.
Mm-hmm.
The Beatles kind of had at least one commercially successful concept album. When like Radiohead, who I consider a very influential rock band for the
Mm-hmm.
last like 20 years and like very highly like critically reviewed. Um like Kid A, people probably would consider a concept album, at least in some way. Like I'm stretching the definition a little bit, but
Isn't also OK Computer technically one too?
I was going to contrast that and say I think OK Computer is more a collection of good songs. I don't know, just like the average REM album. I don't know why that popped into my head, but like s- songs that are good and are all coming out at the same time. Like I don't know. That's kind of the pattern I'm drawing towards. I think it was just taken for granted for a long time in conversations about music that the most interesting or most important or most exciting, most artistically elevated thing you can do is a coherent album. Um, there are, and while it's true that like I mean, the last album you and I talked about, we consider relatively coherent. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think we said that Strawberry Jam by Animal Collective was eclectic but coherent. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and when we've been praising Sound of Silver, we've been saying it's more coherent.
Mm-hmm.
We
For sure.
understand it, like the fact that there is some kind of overarching structure or pattern helps us understand and place the individual songs a little bit more. That is in a sense like um while I always hesitate to use this word around music, it is like an objective thing to say that if there is some structure or pattern, that gives you more to latch onto, that gives you more to
Yeah.
bite into. um so anyways, I think that because that exists, people are more hesitant to do compilations, I guess, of things, or there is pressure to be like, I'm gonna re-record these, or I'm gonna this existed in singles form, but I'm gonna kind of like twist it or like take it apart and put it back together for the real one on the album, because it's like it's not considered real if it's not on an album.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, you're ditching Spotify completely. That's the
Still haven't done it, but it's part of the goal. Yeah, I don't know. It is crazy that the MP3 player industry disappeared, and a frickin' while ago. It was, in my opinion, totally in lockstep with like streaming. That streaming was becoming commercially possible and massively successful. Um, I looked it up the other day. Apple discontinued the iPod in 2017, so it's been a while. It's been
yeah.
a while now.
My mom still uses
Um,
an iPod. in your
I
car.
think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, I think I still have friends who have portable music players, but it's more work to maintain them, of course, and like
Yeah.
maintain the library. Something I was talking about with a roommate that really made me feel good about this particular transition um, is the roommate said, and yeah, like she's a local musician, like she's also a music obsessed person like me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
said like um, collecting and maintaining a music library, like an offline one, is more effort, and
Mm-hmm.
that's good. Like it's good that it's less convenient. Because I was kind of griping about like my metadata concerns, and I was like, oh, this is so funny. I haven't had to care about this in so long because streaming centralized it. Um, and we were like, yeah, no, but isn't it so much better to be intentional about what you're listening to and not have it be automatic and have it be a little bit inconvenient
Yeah.
because what happens when it's maximally convenient is it's maximally easy to fall into the background and you're just clicking, you're just auto playing, you're just doing
You're
something
just
else and
previewing, kind of. Just
uh-huh uh-huh
yeah. I'm. That's interesting because yeah, I've been building this like slowly. I don't know if I can get rid of YouTube Music or whatever Spotify completely. It's gonna be hard, but I've been getting some because like Deerhoof, as I said in the messages, like Deerhoof like removed completely everything from
mm,
their catalog on Spotify. So I think I just had to like download it, and I think like yeah, like it's very intentional because like for me like that's gonna take up space on my computer. I have to like commit to this like you know
right
and like I have to wait for the download and put it in the player. Like it, I think yeah, and so it's like you're kind of like just like choosing your favorite stuff and just like this is what you're gonna listen to on your computer for the rest of your life, kind of.
it's gonna make music discovery
Very hard.
more effort and more intentional. Things like your Discord server where people are sending each other stuff is going to get more and more
Mm-hmm.
important. And that's also way more what I like. If I can attach an album to, oh yeah, this friend recommended it to me, and having that story attached to it, that is a pure bonus compared to if I only had, yeah, it just popped up on my algorithm. It's so
Yeah.
much less personal. Um, of course, there's something to be said about just like subscription services in general and the powers that be saying you will own nothing and you will be happy. Um, yeah, I don't know. It just seems like in that direction, and
Mm.
not many artists have taken a stand like Deerhoof. Other artists I respect, Cindy Lee,
Yeah. Nah.
put out Calgary Pride. Um, but Neil Young bent the knee. I think, right? He was
Mm.
off for a while and then he's back on,
I
I
think
think
he's
for
skinny.
money reasons.
Yeah, and didn't Metallica do the same thing?
I don't know the story with Metallica.
Actually, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about something else because I think they were going after music sharing people. I think.
But it's kind of crazy how it is so centralized or like it is so a thing that is taken for granted right now that iPods don't exist. That freaking iPods don't exist. And most people agree that it sucks that everything is streaming now, but not a ton of artists are really taking a stand. I think that's a little surprising, at least.
Hmm. Yeah, I think yeah,
Maybe
because
behind the scenes, like it's a lot harder than we know to, excuse me, rescind the rights once they've already gone to a distributor or something like that. Like maybe
mm-hmm.
there's reasons behind the scenes that this is not very prevalent, but I think it's too bad. I think it's lousy overall that um, you know a few monopolies get to control music, or at least
Yeah.
how 95% of the people in the country I live in who listen to music listen to music.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, because it's interesting because like Cindy Lee, like I feel like even though or they were not on like streaming or whatever, like they were still like successful. Like I like many publications put them as like the number one. I think Pitchfork.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
even without like the streaming, I think there's still spaces where you can be successful in. Maybe not as like in a level of like I don't know like whatever Taylor Swift is like doing, like she's re-releasing that's her catalog, which is pretty interesting. Like but yeah, like I think there's still you can still be successful without this. It's just people where we just want the convenience, and so they're gonna. I guess that's why they're leaving it on.
Yeah. But if there is a thing that I'm gonna become a music snob about in the future, it's just gonna be pushing my friends to get off streaming.
Mhm.
I guess. I'm gonna burn a lot more like CDs for
Yeah,
people.
that that would be
Old
cool.
school shit. Yep.
For sure. Yeah, and going back to the album before we played Tribulations, yeah, this album was pretty successful in in publications, so not much to say. I think Uncut and Blunder gave it a 5 star. I don't know if it includes the disc 2 in that review,
I'm
but
gonna say it must. I'm gonna say it
yeah, it
must.
has
That
to. So, but yeah, yeah, that's interesting. Because people like especially like the like people on Rate Your Music. I go on it, and the people that were reviewing in like the 2000s, I think they kind of like hated this this album. They thought it was very like pretentious and kind of uninspired, which is pretty funny.
those are hilarious words to use for this. Pretentious. It's so complicated, in my opinion,
Yeah,
to evaluate um, how true that is for him because he's orchard by the concept of pretentiousness. Um, Uninspired is also hilarious because I consider this a very respectful, very purely inspired
yeah,
blend of so much stuff. Um, one thing I kind of wanted to talk about is that for how fascinated Murphy and Soundsystem are by music, by the decades of music that came before, there are not very many. There are not very many samples on
mm.
this record. I know of one or two. I believe there's a Kraftwerk sample on Disco Infiltrator,
Hmm.
and Losing My Edge might have an Africa Bambaataa sample, but I'm not sure. It's very few, considering how fascinated he is with the music that came before. He's much more interested in replicating these styles and influences himself in the studio with programmed drums or with like my god, the drumming on this album is excellent in general.
Yeah.
I think I want to recommend this album to a lot of the drummers in my life.
Hmm.
It's and there's a lot of punchy, big rock drums doing dance beats. I think that's how I would sum it up for a decent amount of it. It is there is some like progressive rock and German krautrock inspired
Yeah,
stuff.
for sure.
It hit me like a train yesterday when I was listening to Your City's a Sucker, and the guitar chords I was like, what does this remind me of? And I was like, oh my god, it's Tago Mago.
Yeah.
It's so similar. Um and just the relentless beats in general. It's always been possible to marry rock and dance. They are not like
Hmm.
two sides of a spectrum. They are not in conflict at all. They're just two groups of people. There's some overlap, and but the spirit of the music has always been very like mergeable and marryable. And I think making really intentional efforts to do that in some of these compositions, um, like it's just aged so well. I think this is a relatively timeless album.
Yeah.
Especially disc 2. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to just shit on disc 1
I
all the
think
time. It's
yeah,
shifty.
because I can definitely understand your point, but I think I just love the whole thing. In my opinion,
Mhm.
I think everything is just it's like because for me it almost reminds me now that we're talking about like kind of reminds me of one of my other favorite albums of all time, Blueberry Boat by the Fiery Furnaces. Like just sort
Nice.
of in that like just the it's all in these like I guess like sparse like compositions like and just very out there like sound throughout every
Mhm.
single song. Like I don't know, just I think this is something this album like would dictate a lot of my taste in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, would you want to play a little track?
Play us a song, Audrey. Play us a
Yeah,
song, Jovic. Shit.
it's
Revealing
okay.
your gamer name. That's so embarrassing.
It's okay.
Have other people done this?
Yeah, no one has called me my actual name, so it's fine.
What?
Yeah, I don't really think so, but
All
I don't
right.
know. It's okay. But yeah, we
Um, you love music videos. This is not the official one?
yeah, this is not the official one.
Okay.
It's not really. I couldn't find one that was really like um good. This one was is just kind of like a repeating loop of something. But yeah, I chose this song because this is probably my favorite LCD Sound System song, and I think it just goes to show like the just like the danceability of the LCD Sound System, and specifically this one. I think it's a very a good song to like just like if someone didn't know who LCD Sound System was, like this is probably one I would play them. I don't know.
Hmm.
And for sure we'll talk about the lyrical contents, but I'm not sure what it's about. But we'll see what we can dig into. Okay, let's play it.
Let her rip.
Everybody makes mistakes when I feel. All right, there you go. That that was that was Tribulations. I yeah, I really, now that you're saying, I really like the drumming on this record. It's very, it almost
This one, this one must have been digital drums. I think it's one of the only side one ones that's actually like programmed. The bass and guitar sound like analog. They sound like
mhm,
they sound like real instruments. But the synth lead and the I think Tribulations has digital drums.
really, yeah, maybe I could never tell. When
It's a little hard. It's a little hard to listen out for it. Tribulations is God. What hit me the most on that listen is how tame the guitar solo is.
hmm
It's a really I think it's a commercial shot. I don't think it detracts from this song a great amount.
hmm
The first four songs on disc one of this album are, I think, pretty well balanced. So it's Daft Punk, we know that one inside out. Too Much Love is a cool and underrated one. It's like unsettling, it's
with
woozy,
no memory. Yeah.
it's kind of a hypnotic synth jam. It's just like a totally different mode. It's still dance music. It's just like unsettling and off kilter. Tribulations is track three. It's immediately like a punchy, very melodic, very anthemic, um, ready to go from beat one type joint. Like it's not really a slow build. It's a um, as straightforward a composition and rock song as you can get. I think the only thing that they're exercising too much of their personality over is like the fact that it is like a programmed drum and crunchy
Mm.
synth lead. It's I think it provides a really good like rhythm and balance to it. To the first half of the album, like that enhances its back to back listenability.
hmm Yeah.
It's a straightforward song. I want to hear more about what you have to say though. Sorry, but and when I talk about the guitar solo, like the fact that it's like a very um it's not more than it has to be. It's really stripped back.
It's just a really simple like kind of riff.
It's really simple and it's also like stylistically again just in like more like an 80s classic rock type thing.
hmm
The guitar solo and movement is this Velvet Underground freak out.
Oh
Like very
yeah.
it's very very Velvet Underground. I think it's a straight shot influence, like a white light white heat. It's an import of white light white heat.
Mm. Yeah.
Um Go ahead.
Oh, I should then we should have played that one. Okay. Anyways,
Well,
yeah.
they're just really different. I think I don't know. He's got so many sounds he wants to emulate. Tribulations ends up being like I'm gonna call it the more straightforward, the more commercial style, and it's to great effect. I think it's a really strong standalone song.
hmm
I think he's also kind of wielding his actual singing chops, which I'm grateful he does that at least once. So much of this album, he's doing his character. He's doing his nasal voice delivery. He's doing like his I'm gonna talk, sing, and once in a while hit a couple notes or something like that. But he wants to sing,
Yeah. I
right?
specifically about this song. Yeah. I'll go into, like I yeah his vocals are. I think he's a really um strong vocalist in a lot of ways. Like maybe not so much live. I think maybe like his whole thing live, kind of made me a little like it tainted a little bit my idea. But yeah, like I like it. I like it. Like especially on the later stuff, he would sing like dance yourself clean. Like that is like a strong like example of like his just like his vocals. Like I don't know even what like where what influenced his vocal style, which may I don't know really, but it's just really good. I don't know.
It,
Um.
I love that he lets himself sing on at
Yeah.
least one track. I guess I didn't enumerate this or go over it, but he's on purpose not singing on so many of these. He or like um tired, he's kind of doing like sarcastic um singing noises but not singing. On a lot of them he's talk singing, which again is like a classic a classic fallback thing you do when you're afraid to take yourself seriously, I guess. Like it's very tied into that, like his vocal stylings, I think. So yeah, for the sake of tribulations, he put himself out there and just tried to perform in another style. Never as tired, obviously he's singing too.
Yeah. I hmm. Yeah, what do you think about um yeah, like I think so LCD Sound System was kind of like the idea was like he was kind of infatuated by like the sounds of like drums like and his whole thing was like I want to make the drums sound like what is it like as clear as like possible or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And
Mm-hmm.
I think yeah, like the production on this album, it's very clean except for movement. It's the one where it's like kind of like the jam song, like dun, 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 the city. Yeah, like something like that. And and it's kind of
The other unclear one, I think, is Tired. It's super washed out in reverb because I think he's doing Suicide. Do you know Suicide?
yeah the synth thing.
I think he's kind of doing that kind of or at least that kind of like really um like dense, deathy, grungy, smoky sound of like 80s um sludge.
Sludge,
I
yeah.
think that is actually a word that is used in like talking about music genres. Um, yeah. Otherwise, you're totally right. Like exceptional clarity in the instrumentation and um yeah, the vocals come through relatively clearly too. Thrills also has like a crunch. It's a very very staticky synth on it.
Hmm.
Um, I hear that overall. I do think he wants to be wants every element to be heard, like all the little subtleties that are coming through too. um I think he's a very careful producer of these sounds. um I actually want to tie that into talking about the lyrics though, because as much as the voice is made to come through pretty clearly, I don't consider the lyricism on this album to be very strong or to have a lot to say
Yeah.
overall. Do you want to go off that?
Yeah. I yeah, cuz like when I listen to this album, I'm not really thinking about like the lyrics. Like it's just like I I feel like only when it comes to Losing My Edge that's the most lyrically dense song, of course. But I I'm not really like Daft Punk is playing at my house. I'm not really like I'm not really like looking at the lyrics. I'm kind of just like I'm just singing along for no particular like reason. Like I think like and that goes into like the 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 paradox, I guess, like the like the disco with like the rock, I guess. Like yeah, like and yeah, it I think he's kind of it's like kind of like it feels like party music almost or like trying to like do that like effect but in this like I don't know if anyone would want to play this in a party but maybe.
That's almost exactly what I feel. I think it, and I think we can also talk about it as a detriment or a drag that lyrically he doesn't have a lot to say. We can flip this the other way and say the words are in service of the
Yeah.
sound and the feeling, which is true to some extent. Um, yeah, Daft Punk is playing at my house. Of course, that like, what would he have to say? It's kind of just one joke and one feeling. Um, Tribulations, like, it is the most song like classic rock like,
Mm-hmm.
but and and like the guys that he's emulating, like I don't freaking know, like I got friends and partners who are into like really corny 80s shit like Platinum Blonde and stuff like that, and like Foreigner and whatever, and it's a lot of like, I don't know, there's just a lot of nothing in those decades, on the radio
Mm-hmm.
especially. But yeah, you had to say almost exactly what I had to say, which is that Losing My Edge feels like the moment of clarity when where he can actually say his manifesto.
Yeah, that's it's kind of his like. I think this song is LCD sound system. Like this is like the whole like thing. I guess it almost feels like, and like
I think the word I was searching for earlier was manifesto. Movement thematically is really close to Losing My Edge, but it's muddled. It's um just because he's, I don't know, he has less room to do his whole talking bit, and because he already did his manifesto on Losing My Edge, and
mm-hmm.
Movement was recorded after. Um, it's really similar. Like, they're both like hipster send up songs, as music outlets would clumsily call them, but like, songs that are about criticizing how people talk about and how people think about music. But Movement is a lot more like, I don't know, couched in jokes, couched in weird references. I don't know what he has against fat guys in a t-shirt singing all the words.
Mm,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know what tapped means. Is that just New York lingo that's just escaping both of us? But um like, even the songs where we know what it's about are just like really muddled. Except Losing My Edge, which is, generational. It, to me,
Mm-hmm.
just one of the
Yeah.
most important songs of all time. I keep saying. Um, Everything else, the words are totally secondary to the music. It's whatever. It's what sounds good. The songs come first, and the specific words seem to come after.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, because I feel like the in like Sounds of Silver, I think there are more like lyrically treasures, or lyrical treasures to go into.
Yeah,
But I don't. Yeah, I think.
I also agree with you, but amusingly, Sound of Silver has so many of the instrumentals from the Jogging album.
Mm-hmm.
Like, which again just kind of like makes you think, if you are doing the whole discography dive, like some of the vocal lines that will eventually become like big, like All of My Friends and Someone Great and stuff like that. Or maybe I'm getting it wrong and only Someone Great is on the Jogging album. But
Someone. Yeah.
like, at least the melody of it is. So again, it still just makes you wonder, I think, like, did this melody arise and then words were put to it later?
Mm-hmm.
It's a I don't know, just that, far be it from me to critique the songwriting of just a legendary band of the last 20 years, but I don't know, we can still say it's weaker or not prioritized or disconnected from the music. Like, I think if he wanted, okay, I don't think LCD Sound System works without the words.
Um. Yeah, I would
Do
say.
you?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say they. Yeah, they kind of need it. I think, but I think it's more so to create, just like create like effect on this
It's
one.
just a layer.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it feels like it's just like another like part of like the recording process, like, and he, you know, it doesn't. like the song like yeah, the both of them like their whole like nothing burgers like lyrically, to be honest, like
But the song still
yeah,
needs
like
yeah during yeah. Yeah.
exactly. And like and then the last part of like losing my edge, I know what you really want, like that part is that's probably the best part of the song, to be honest. Like it I think it's like as important, but there's nothing to it. Like I
Credit to the like 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 knowing what the song needs. Like it's in service of
mm-hmm.
the sound. It's in service of like moments of tension and release and stuff like that. Like the flat singing in movement I think is actually incredibly effective at just being like a driving like accelerator. So when the guitars all come out in this big wave of sound, it's extra punchy. And then when he shouts, it doesn't need to be virtuosic, and it really doesn't matter what he's shouting. It just matters that there was a voice conveying,
Yeah.
nonsense lyrics. I'm tapped to it so that so that like the structure is served. I
Mm.
think it's really great attention to just what the song needs. And words are just not his way of conveying the ideas in these songs. It's very, very secondary. Like, yeah, like words as in like the meaningful content of them. Vocal performance wise, there's
Um,
excellent
yeah,
ones on this.
amazing.
We should I guess we should like separate that out where it's like he's mostly saying nonsense, but the way says it is compelling as
Yeah,
fuck.
it's like yeah,
Give it up.
it's like guided by voices, like
Hmm.
same like thing, like
I want to listen to them more. They haven't grabbed me yet.
yeah, like
Oh wait, no, no, no. Fudge. I always mix up guided by voices and built to spill just because
yeah,
they're
they're
the
kind of
same
they're
name of
kind of
both of them.
similar, but
Ugh.
yeah, like once you hear one guided by voices album, you kind of listen to the whole thing because kind of his thing is that he kind of made all the pop songs he could create, and he's just like
Hmm.
he's just doing it because people want more. But yeah, like yeah, to say like yeah, like doesn't really matter what he's saying, like but like you can feel feel it, like the effects of it in the song, and yeah, that's a guided by voices thing. Like we need to, I still need to talk about that band. I always bring them up because they're important for this podcast. Yeah. Um. Yeah.
That's what I think about lyricism. Non-existent. I think his voice exists to give great vocal performances, and on one occasion read his goddamn manifesto. At least for this album. On later ones, I haven't given it as much thought, but I bet I would say something similar. Is that the lyrical content of "Dance Yourself Clean" is probably mostly nonsense, and it doesn't
Mm,
matter.
yeah.
It's about like the climax. It's about the feeling and the structure and the sound of the words. So I mean that's my verdict on lyricism is there isn't any to
Mm.
speak of.
Well, do you want to maybe jump into the lyrics of losing my edge? Kind of do a little deep dive.
I've kind of already beat it to death, but I would enjoy if you pulled it up anyways because they're all funny and because I love this song. But
Yeah.
I've already kind of beat it to death.
Mm.
Um the the overall thing I'm going to repeat is like to me this is like the epitome of like a half joking song. Like it's about the instinct or the feeling of entitlement to music or to a music scene. It's about the urge to gatekeep, but
Mm-hmm.
like also about how silly that is. I, I think it is absolutely self-aware. I don't think you can read or listen to this song without catching the
Mm-hmm.
self-awareness. And you could also argue that the last line being "you don't know what you really want" is kind of, hey, in case you missed it, this is a character and this is an unsatisfying way to live your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mhm. I've never been wrong. It's like it's too obvious. You have to read this as a joke, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. Like I hmm. Yeah, like it almost like it feels like he's trying to like on the song he's trying to just like one up like this guy or something, or like just like a group of people, like saying that he knows more than like you. And it's kind of like the song is also kind of embarrassing in a way, like so like kind of like doing this whole thing like now in on the internet would kind of be like you would kind of get made fun of.
You get made fun of at every point for being this guy. And everybody's been this guy. If
For
you've
sure.
listened to music, if you've started becoming the kind of person who goes on a music podcast on Sunday at 10 a.m., if
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
this isn't a dig at another class of person that he's running into. This is a dig at yourself because it's too accurate.
Mm,
It's too hey, we all know. It's not from the perspective of like, ugh, I can't believe someone would be a music elitist. It's from the perspective of it's so hard not to be an elitist when you are really passionate about something. Like, yeah, the alarm is the phone call is coming from inside the house type shit. It's
mm.
that's my feeling on it is and that is what speaks to my heart so much is that Losing My Edge is not a song about like here's this asshole that I keep running into in New York. It's here's this asshole that keeps popping out of my heart.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought about it like that.
I really do. I think it's too specific, too funny, too intense and too personal not to be about himself or about like the
The
urge or about the threat of becoming this guy who's never been wrong and used to work in a record store.
yeah, yeah, every Detroit techno hit. Yeah, um yeah, I feel like we kind of yeah. Now that I think about it, we kind of like we've already been describing this song throughout the whole thing.
It's really critical. It's the thing that he's most aware of and it's like his greatest superpower in music is kind of an encyclopedic knowledge and a deep passion for so much influential music and so much great music. He's a music nerd. He's a music
Mm-hmm.
dweeb.
Yeah, and sort of what do you I guess like to jump to another one. Like what do you think about like James Murphy's like influences? It
He lists them himself. That's the
yeah.
best part. That's the best part. That's the best part of this joke is that he really does love Sun Ra, of course,
Yeah.
10cc, of course, Soul Sonic Force. That's with Africa Bambata. I think that WhoSample.com says that they are sampled on this track,
Mm.
either that or a remix. The delivery of Gil Scott Heron is so
Gil
funny
Scott
because it's
Heron.
um and the the prelude to this, everybody that you know is more relevant than everybody that I know. Holy shit. That is how we talk.
Yeah.
That is how we talk. It is so dangerous. It is so tempting to get into the trap of being like, why do I love the music I love? Because I know it influenced 20 years of music or
Mm.
50 years of music. So we talk about music being relevant or when we're beating down something that's commercial, we're like, well, that's commercial. It made a lot of money, but it didn't influence anybody,
Yeah,
so
and
it's not
here's this the
relevant.
thing.
Why do
Yeah.
we talk about it? It's again, like it is so specific, it is so laser focused on the way that you would have been a music snob in 2002 and the way that you end up being a music snob today and 10 years ago when I was a teenager first getting into this stuff. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So I don't know. He gets to list his influences, which is hilarious because it's the thing that we were talking about with the Daft Punk track, and you gave another example where people pay homage through saying the name of the people. But I think to James, in some ways, James as though I know him. I think in some ways it's corny or it's passe to pay homage in such an obvious way. I already pointed out that there are so few samples on this
Mm-hmm.
record, even though it is a
Heavily.
very fascinated by old music record. Even though he is a DJ, he's incredibly used to chopping up and like the culture surrounding it. Um, some of the artists that he's citing are people who work in heavily like sample based and sample influenced mediums, like 80s hip hop stuff
Yeah,
and
Black
Phil
Dice.
Scott Heron.
Yeah.
Um, like I so I think he thinks it's passe. I think he thinks it's weird to list out your influences like this. So he does it in character, but
Mm-hmm.
in a sly way, because these are amazing musicians that I know he respects. And not like, no, like, it's even hard to imagine what someone thinks of as like what a dweeb would think is an influential musician. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's hard for you and me to be like, um, yeah, there's this class of influences who only nerds think influenced other people or some shit. Like,
Um,
I don't know.
that's interesting. I like you're saying like wait, can
I'm
you,
saying he can only like as much as this song is sung by a character that is an exaggerated version of himself. These are some of his favorite artists because it doesn't make sense to come up with a character and then come up with
and
that
then
character's
yeah.
favorite
I
musician. Like that's a
yeah,
little too weird. That's a little too
I think
separated.
that kind of um like kind of breaks like the idea that he's pretentious because I feel like he's not like pretending to be anything. He's just pretending. He's just I guess what he's pretending to be is like a fan of music, and which we all are, and
Straight up.
that can't be like that can't be pretentious at all. That means we're all pretentious, but you know, it's like
It's this is a song about the relationship to the concept of being pretentious, I think.
mm,
Or I mean that's how I would sum it up.
yeah. Wait, let's go back. Yeah, and I guess like where should we go with this? Um, what do you what I know we were talking about Dare. What do you think about some other like artists that are heavily inspired by LCD Sound System that would be on the losing my edge of today, like for them, I guess.
So yeah, yeah. Um I think you should check out the Help. They're a little bit off kilter. They're they're a little bit different than this. But I think I hear some of the same urgent like the words are just in service of the rhythm, um, composing these tracks, mashing together a lot of rock and punk and dance influences. I think you should check them out. Um, what was the other thing of them that I noticed? It's escaping me right now. Um, I
Mm.
find it hard. I think not a lot of people sound like LCD Sound System because so few people have the DJ chops that James Murphy does. I think very few people can like put together a really clear mix like yeah or like your city's a sucker or something like that. I think that just comes from experience and skill, and a lot of people that get influenced by LCD Sound System are the rock kids lol.
Hmm.
um who else sounds like them? I was gonna say like Hot Chip or I think they're called Chick Chick Chick, like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
three exclamation points
yeah,
band. They're kind of more contemporaries, but they're definitely orbiting around the same music scene, I think.
yeah.
Um,
They're like New York, like around there.
so I would find it hard to um um to disassemble that, because like in like I would think that there's like a wave, like a generational thing, but and like if someone's already putting out music in the same years, then you can definitely be inspired by your contemporaries, but the type of inspiration that LCD Sound System is anxious about is the generational type, I think, not the contemporary type.
Mm, for sure.
Is the dare and not the hot chip.
For
Just
sure.
as a hypothesis about it. Um, who else?
I
Oh, where else do you hear their influence?
I honestly like the Squid, like we were talking about. I think
Mhm. Mm.
especially Bright Green Field's vocal performances. I maybe not so much. Maybe they probably don't even listen to LCD Sound System like that, but I can see it like in there. And also I don't know, this other band, they came out with a new record, Model Actrice or something.
Oh, word. Yeah, yeah, I know them.
Yeah, they're kind of like that industrial band or whatever. Like I can see that also.
I think so. I think it'd be easy to make a mistake here and say that they like crystallized the flat affectation type singing into popularity. I don't know if that's true. I think probably there are other common touch points before LCD that were doing more
Talking.
flat post-punk singing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
talk singing.
Minutemen.
Minutemen is probably the correct common influence to cite. But LCD Sound System probably did a lot for its popularity. When I'm describing post punk to people, I often say, okay, one of the hints that you can call it this is the singer is doing a funny, affected voice.
Mm.
I call that a common element
Yeah, for sure.
in the loose genre. Um, I don't know, I'm just kind of scrolling through my recently listened to. I haven't gotten rid of Spotify just yet. Um,
Yeah.
little hard to disconnect, but it's a little hard on purpose. Ooh, what else do I think? Um, this is a loop. This is a stretch. Nah, it's too much of a stretch. I was going to say Vampire Weekend in terms of being a very clear production, kitschy, excuse me, making fun of like people who are too embedded in nostalgia, but I think it's too much of a stretch, and they're just coming from too different of a place.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm. Uh,
I think you can track the lineage of a lot of post punk, like we kind of agree, and you can probably track the lineage to at least some hyper pop.
ooh.
I think um the elements of hyperpop, like that a lot of influential artists started in um like sample based electronica and chopped and screwed and so on. That's really related to DJing and DJ culture. Like there's a disconnect between these two things, but I think they are like long lost cousins. Like Chopped and Screwed, Sound Clown, Vaporwave even. Like some of the very um processed and very leaning on samples versions of electronica. I think that there is like a kinship between that and um James Murphy's brand of like record store dumpster diving and
Yeah.
being I I think that there's a relationship between these two things, but it's a bit of like a but there's a generational disconnect, and I
Yeah, because
don't
like
think
it's more like what I get from like it's more like like isn't like hyperpop's like kind of like more like thrashy than whatever LCD sound system is doing.
yeah, less controlled, less self-conscious. I Now that I'm talking about it more, I do think we should talk about these as like relatively opposing factors. I don't think that Jane Remover gives a shit about LCD Sound
Yeah,
System.
probably not.
I think um I think there has just been a bit of a generational gap, And LCD Sound System ended up being a bit of an end of an era, or a bit of a retrospective. Um, the new wave that we are seeing these days is um, much less self-conscious,
For sure. Yeah.
much more willing to be silly and be cringe. I just think we think that's true and barely have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
explain
yeah.
it more. Um, and yeah, I don't know. There's been a generation gap. The way that people engage with older music. I mean, also we should just point out that like what was older music 10 years ago totally changed. 10 years ago from now when we're recording this was like LMFAO,
Mm.
Katy Perry, like um things that are weirder touch points to leap off of. But
Yeah,
like
like, cause that, yeah, they were kind of like that, like 2010s, like thing is kind of like it's almost like yeah, like that, but to the extreme now, like or of like hyperpop, like is now.
I think what it meant to be like mainstream versus underground. I mean, it always continually evolves, but the way that like the and commercialization in music has just always been a massive thing, like from day one. Like you track it over every decade, and it's like it's never not been a very interesting, influential, dominant factor is like, are you going on the Ed Sullivan show or not? Is your music video going to be played on MTV or not? Like the commercial aspect of the music, or like the environment surrounding the music has always like just been this sword hanging over how everyone listens to music and how everyone makes music. It's just never not been the case, right? That there is like the concept of commercial music and mainstream versus underground. The specifics have kept evolving, but the
Hmm.
concept presumably has been there for as long as there's been centralized music distribution, like I don't know, like the 50s onwards. I'm not a big like history of rock music person, but I think I would like to be like more of a nerd about like the historical factors shaping a lot of this stuff to just help explain, because listening to the music you get a certain story, but I don't
Yeah.
know, I feel like I'd be really interested in becoming a very educated person about like yeah, just all the factors like historical and cultural around like excuse me, at every development in music, because listening to music only gets you so far.
Yeah, it only attracts like the scene that they were a part of, like and like the people they knew, which is yeah. Um, let me. What? Yeah. What do you think? Yeah, like you were talking about like the kind of like the musical climate in that time. Like what? Yeah. Like why do you think it was like or like what do you think about like the musical climate in 2005? Like what was like going on comparatively to I guess like now or like in the like 2010s where
Unlike Mr. Murphy, I cannot say I was there, um, as he repeats in the refrain um, to Losing My Edge. I was not there. I was 7 years old. I don't think I started listening to music seriously until like 2011 or something like that. And even then, the way in which I engaged with it was like, I mean, I was in small town Northern Ontario. The internet for music discovery was becoming a thing. Um, so I wasn't there. But what I do think about the early 2000s is that I think, I have to prefix a lot
yeah
of
yeah
this with, I think there was a big perceived rift between uh, like trying to put dancey music on one side of the wall and pop music on that side of the wall and sophisticated music on the other side of it. I think that that was a like that continues to be a persistent myth, but like I think a lot of the really acclaimed albums from that time are ones that were people that purported to be, or music critics considered them to be, more brainy and more intellectual. When artists like Aphex Twin received commercial and critical success, they were called intelligent dance
Oh
music.
yeah.
Isn't that a crazy term? Like, I think that, again, if someone were to touch on like historical and cultural factors, we would have to talk about like racism and stuff like that
Hmm.
being part of why music tried to distance itself from um, dance music, I guess, or danceable music. And that it was like considered like lowbrow, and then there's this whole class element and whatever.
Yeah.
Again, when we talk about Radiohead, like they got so much conversation around Kid A because everyone's like, "Whoa, it's extra intellectual,"
Mm.
or something like that. But and people tried to separate out like rainy music versus music for the masses and shit like that. It was all fucked up. I would like to think, I would like to think that one thing that was on LCD Sound System's mind was saying, this sucks. Trying to make this division sucks.
Yeah.
Like, everyone wants to dance. Everyone should be allowed to dance. We shouldn't just, like, and it's a very historically myopic and very, like, limited way of categorizing things, of saying, like, this is radio music, this isn't radio music. This is club music, this isn't club music. I think in some ways, part of the ethos of this is like saying this has always been a stupid distinction to make.
Hmm.
Like, all music has had something to give to anyone who's interested in seeking it out, like forever. And discovery is kind of the only thing kind of holding you back from enjoyment.
Hmm. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. There. Yeah. I wish I could go back to that time. That would be an interesting world to live in.
It was, I don't know. I, I love living exactly when I do now. Like, and anytime I could never be a born in the wrong era person. I could never go back to any other decade. I'm just sure that things would be more frustrating.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. It's just like less time has passed, so less conversations have happened. So, anyways,
Yeah. I think more so like it would be interesting to see like if this what like what would people think about like the albums that we thought think are like acclaimed like now, and then
mm,
we look back when they released back then, and I'm curious to like see what they like thought about it at that time, like.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah. There are lots of famous stories about albums only becoming appreciated way after their time. I've got Velvet
the
Underground to bring
Velvet
up for other
Underground.
reasons here. But probably one of the most famous examples of this. Um, I don't know. I don't know how much that story is like apocryphal or real. I really take it for granted.
Mm.
But like, they were in with Andy fucking Warhol. Like,
Yeah, that was
really?
well, yeah,
He didn't
that.
help them market it? Like, what? I don't know. I don't know, dog.
Yeah, I I think it's kind of funny. Like I saw this like one review. It's like the like people always talk about how the Velvet Underground started like made people like started to make like bands, or like it made people want
Yes.
to like make music and stuff. But and
This,
then
this must be the most quoted music story
yeah,
ever,
but
right? You
and,
and me both have it in our heads.
yeah, and then but the review goes on and says like instead now people are on their computers talking about music now.
Hmm. I don't know. I don't know, dog. Music's gonna keep going. Everyone's like, what the hell does that mean?
I always
What the hell
thought
does
that
that mean?
was funny.
People have always been talking about music. Um, LCD Sound System would think that that's a stupid comment. I believe that based on the manifesto losing my edge, based on the music that we hear here. I think it's like I think a little bit of the spirit of the album is like anyone can do it, and like all it takes is being a fan and having passion and not being gatekeepy. And I think a thing we can learn is like that it's important to um not get stuck on your anxieties or how you'll be remembered, or whether people think you're too pretentious or whether people think you're sticking too close to your influences. I think Velvet, or excuse me, Velvet Underground. I think
Yeah.
LCD Sound System takes their influences and adds on and becomes a part of music
Hmm.
history by constructively adding on to things. Um, where just the quick last thing on this slide that I see is like repetition in these songs. Um, Something that I really love that makes these guys really especially enjoyable for me to keep listening to is the evolution over the long 8-minute jams.
Hmm.
Um, that, for example, Stereolab or some of their other influences that are more really long hypnotic jams, sometimes they don't go anywhere. And LCD Sound System, they
Does.
go somewhere. Like, I can usually trust them to go somewhere with a long
Yeah,
song.
and I like how whenever they like do add something, nothing's ever cut. It's always like building like something like like the yeah the like one of them, probably the crash version, where it's just like the synth that just keeps like, or that is in the later part, and it just like it's really like strong.
Yeah, the filters are just changed, so it becomes yeah, it just like takes up way more space and becomes like a screechy solo type breakdown type thing. What else was I gonna say about the layering? Yeah, it's a great form of like slow evolution. They're really swell compositions. Um, that's something that's in both the rock tradition via like progressive rock jams and so
Hmm.
on, and krautrock, which I keep circling back to, and DJ mixes. It's just a totally common element. Is like you've got someone's attention for a while. It's really awesome to like settle into a groove, but then what are you gonna do with that? So
Mm, true. Yeah. Do you wanna do you wanna play a closing track, or I'm
I do. Did you find a good video to go with one of the candidates I sent you?
yeah so you chose Beat Connection or as one of the candidates.
This is so Beat Connection is the B side of Losing My Edge. I was like breath taken away re-listening to it again after finding out, like, because I just jotted down which songs were B sides of which songs, as part of like looking into the fact that like, oh yeah, holy shit, all of side 2 is recycled material.
Mm,
Um and I was like, oh my god, Losing My Edge, Beat Connection. And I wrote down in all caps, it's all here. I wrote down
yeah.
that like um the DNA for the whole project is just laid out in the year 2002. He said what he needed to say really strongly, just kicks ass.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I like to repeat myself one last time. Self-titled probably isn't my favorite LCD Sound System
Yeah.
album, but it's
Well,
so the highs are so high, and it is such interesting required reading. Um, you know, I don't consider the whole album all killer no filler. Side 2 probably is. I probably would say that about it.
mm,
That it's like a no skip, like every moment, every beat is essential. and it's still eclectic because it's got Give It Up and Tired, which are really energetic, really like rock inspired throwbacks.
Yeah, yeah, specifically about beat connection. I like the this is one that like we didn't talk about this so much, but there's a whole like we always talk about him as like one guy, James Murphy, but there's also a lot of like musicians on it. Like it's a whole band, and
Yeah.
I like that I like like specifically about the vocals. I like that they're like they're playing off of each other. Like him and the she what's her name, Nancy something.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
It's it's bad of me. It is a
Nancy
bad
Wang.
habit in some ways.
Nancy Wang.
It
Yeah.
it is a bad habit in some ways to talk about these as like central brainchilds of one person because like this has been him and like a pretty stable group of friends for close to 20 years. We are doing them a bit of a disservice by just calling this James's project, but I think he calls it his own I don't know. It's just a chronic thing, right? With all of these things where we you have like a strong artistic voice and or like a strong ego or a
Yeah, I
strong
mean, it's just like
charisma.
I think James Murphy is just a good arranger because he is the one usually putting the ideas there, and they're just gonna play it like live or something. I think that's like his whole like thing, and what
Yeah.
makes him so good is he's just an excellent arranger.
I think
In
the credit on the album, and you can verify this because you have the physical copy. I think it says James Murphy most
yeah, most
sounds,
sounds,
and then
other sounds, Tim
other
Goldner, yeah,
sounds.
just other, yeah.
It's very amusing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
my favorite part of Beat Connection for when we do listen to it is the beat change up um, in the first 2 minutes or so, and it's before the sweepy shwow shwow shwow. It's just a something like that. It's a change up that actually goes against what you were saying about like keeping the layers steady, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I think it's like a again like just from heavy amounts of experience DJing, like a very skillful
Yeah.
kind of rhythm flip that just takes my breath away. I think there's so much skill on display in this song.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Let's play it. Thank you guys for watching. It was fun. Thank you for coming on. Yep.
It's
And
a pleasure
let's
and an honor.
yep. Unfortunately, I couldn't find really good music videos that weren't official, but it's okay. But this one is like a little like collage of some people. Yeah. All right. And let's play it. Cute.
action!
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. And, also, yeah, that I love the end breakdown. Yeah, and, stay unmixed, stay unmastered. See you guys next time. Goodbye.